Hi, this is Natalie Lander, voice of Kinsey, Tara Branford, Stargirl, and many others. You are listening to a W2Mnet podcast. You can visit W2Mnet.com for other podcasts about entertainment, video games, sports, and wrestling. You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max, episode 220. And we are here with a full cast on this one, as there's plenty of games to talk about. And, well, we're still obviously in the thick of having to deal with what is happening outside and all this COVID-19 business. So, but of course I am your host, Sean Garmer, here with me as always, Mr. Marc Morrison.
Howdy.
And joining us here once again is Jens Dietrich.
Greetings.
And also here, Randy Isbelle.
Glad to be back.
Well, guys, I think, I don't know if I want to, is there any more update on what's going on and where you live with this sad pandemic that is happening outside our walls? Is everybody actually staying inside?
Yeah, our governor has finally put an actual, stay inside order in place in a bizarre press conference where he talked about how he apparently only just found out that it's transmissible before you show symptoms, which almost made my head explode.
He's a man of science.
Uh-huh.
And didn't he open the beaches up today?
Yeah, they opened the beaches back up, which is great for South Georgia, which has been the hardest hit by all this. It's like, so, I don't know. Things continue to be not great.
Yeah.
Though I got booze again, so I feel good. I had to run out, and I was kind of dangerously close to
Going sober?
Yeah, I was dangerously close to pulling of The Shining here with no alcohol. But thankfully, a friend of mine brought some by, and I found a place that delivers wine, so I'm waiting for a wine delivery this coming week.
The $2,000 wine bill?
Yeah, it's not too. No, it's actually pretty reasonable. I'm not going to talk about it though because I don't want to feel like I'm advertising someone.
No, I don't mean they're expensive. I just mean that's how much you ordered.
I mean, I ordered I've ordered $200 worth of wine.
Well, you have to stock up on wine too. You know, it's an essential thing.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, how about you, Randy? Oh, sorry, Mark, you were about to say something?
No, I'm just stocking up on DVDs still.
It's very essential at the times like now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You gotta have stuff to.
I bought American Gods on Blu-ray, and then I bought News Radio also, which are the same two shows.
Can never go wrong with News Radio.
Yeah, News Radio is fantastic.
Randy, what is happening with...
Yeah, well, I live up here in the Northwest, and Washington has pushed things back to, May 4th, because they're Star Wars fans, apparently. And even then, it doesn't even sound like they're that optimistic. It's such a weird place here, because they, shut down fishing, which has pissed off everyone around me, and just made them go all rebel. But in Walmart, you can only have so many people in the store, so you line up outside, but they let you line up super close to each other, I guess. I don't know. I haven't gone, but I'm reading things on Facebook. It's I'm glad that they're thinking part of it through, but they're missing the point, I think.
Yeah, I was at a store. We have a regional store here called Meijer, which is basically like a Walmart. And they have 14 cashier lines. Only 2 of them were open, and they were the ones next to each other. And it's like, wouldn't you want to space aside a tad?
Yeah.
I mean, it was lines 12 and 13 were open out of 14 lines. And it's like, how about line 13 and 10? Or line 13 and 11?
Yeah, skip one, you know? I went to a store I don't normally go to, and they did have you could only have they had I think you could only have 125 people in the store in total, but all they had was somebody outside after I guess somebody had counted. I don't know how you keep track of there being 120 people in the store, but they did have people stopping them to make sure they couldn't come in, but then they're all kind of hovered around each other. So I was like, well, if one of those people has the virus, everybody else is standing right there, all got it, because there's no way that's 6 feet. So.
See, this is why I'm having all my food delivered. Supermarkets are gonna be like the hotspots for this.
That actually just reminded me. I think my 3-year-old is having more of an issue with this than anyone else. We had pizza delivered today, and that poor pizza guy got an earful from my 3-year-old. Just over there, that's my neighbor's house, and that's my neighbor's car. Oh, that's what you drive. Oh, what did you bring to us? Oh, you brought pizza. That's great. And just this poor pizza guy's just staring like, that's great. Just thanks, kid.
I had the Vietnam 1,000-yard stare going.
No, it's and they put an order in that by Tuesday everybody has to, when you go outside, you have to. I mean, not obviously outside of your house, but if you go outside to go to anywhere besides like your general vicinity, you have to have a mask on of some sort.
Yeah, I've seen people around here like walking along the side of the street wearing masks, and it's like that won't help you. Like you're literally outside and no one else is around you except for cars. I don't think cars have it, at least not yet.
I mean, it's.
If I was going to a store, I'd definitely put a mask on.
It's dangerous inside the store because like people. It's so weird. It's such a weird dynamic of like, there's people that obviously aren't taking this seriously and they don't care. And like, they will walk right by you and have no thought of, like, you see people that are actually trying to, these stores are way too big. There's no way you can avoid people completely, but it's like, you can see people that are like waiting for you to get out of the lane so they can go in or whatever. Then there's people that just walk right by you. They don't care. They have no mask on. Like, I had to go to a laundromat. Everybody in there did not give two craps about, anything. They were laughing at me because I had the mask on. And I was like, okay.
You should have taken it off for 1 second, coughed on everyone, and put it back on.
I didn't.
No, you can get arrested for that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, even though that guy is basically the person that he basically put up a sign that says you can only have 10 people in there, but he's never there to make sure that you only have 10 people in there. He basically just opens his place up, never cleans it, and, so I'm just like, whatever. This is, it's not a great part of Miami, so it is what it is.
Well, but, my issue of this is unless we enforce this proper, I think, unless everybody adheres to it and it's properly enforced and there's no crazy exceptions like beaches or churches or whatever else that has enough clout to remain open, it's just not gonna, it's not gonna work. We're just gonna stretch this out indefinitely,
And that's basically what they're doing is like they're only doing this in 30-month intervals unless you're Virginia, because people would go nuts if they did like, oh yeah, we're not going nowhere for 6 months, So, but yeah, this is going to be a continuing thing, and we'll have to talk about it here with 2 games that got delayed, and it's majorly because of this situation. And it's funny because it's weird because, movies have gotten to the point where apparently retail considerations don't matter. Music is long way, doesn't matter about that anymore. But it's funny how video games are still very much tied to the retail model, and it has now been, let's go ahead and talk about the news while we're at it, to The Last of Us Part 2 and Iron Man VR have been delayed, but, no offense to anybody that's really excited about Iron Man VR, it does look kind of cool, and I'm not saying I wouldn't pick it up when it's on a sale, but, Last of Us Part 2 has been delayed. Randy just bemoan the fact of that, and I'm sure there are so many people that are upset about that right now. It was supposed to come out at the end of May, and now it's delayed indefinitely. But according to reports, the major reason, and after a statement by Naughty Dog and Sony, is that basically they can't deliver the launch that they want because they cannot guarantee that the game is available for everyone at the same time. Very much like what we're seeing happen with Final Fantasy VII Remake, where you have people from Australia and Europe being able to play it right now, and everybody else has to wait until April 10th. And I think Sony saw that and said, we don't want to have that same issue. So it's not happening until this pandemic issue is resolved or nullified or lessened or whatever it's going to take for things to sort of become normal again. But I did ask a question when this thing was happening with Final Fantasy VII of, will we ever get to the point where video games do the same thing as movies, where they can come out digitally 2 weeks before, and no one throws a fit?
Oh, that'll never happen.
Well, it's not working out great for movies.
Yeah,
I don't think the current release movies are nearly as profitable as they would have been if they'd been in theaters. And
well, no, I'm not talking about that, Jens. I'm talking about, you know how they release now, where they come out digital like 2 weeks before, then they come out physically.
Yeah, but even
that's what I mean.
Some movies aren't getting released, like that Disney kid movie that.
Yeah. Any actual big release, like Wonder Woman moved back, Bond moved back, Mulan now moved back.
Black Widow moved back.
Widow moved back. So it's all these the movies where they actually still. I think it was just movies that were already in theaters or about to be released or just left theaters. Those are the ones that we kind of got as like the on-demand movies, as kind of a trial of like, well, you know, these are all movies are basically already out and we can't capitalize on them another way, so let's just do this. But I think the big release stuff is, you know, we're not going to see those movies on demand. I think Tenet is going to move. It hasn't moved yet, but that's an IMAX movie. There's no way that's coming out on demand, right? So I just don't. I think that's more of an equivalent with something like Last of Us 2, where we know Last of Us 2 is going to be huge, so let's just wait to do it properly and actually reap the rewards.
I mean, but also even my copy of Final Fantasy 7 got delayed.
Yeah, right. I'm actually going to have to do a curbside pickup at Best Buy to get my copy on Friday.
Are you getting it physically or digitally, Randy?
Oh, I'm getting it digital.
Yeah, I did the same thing because I was like, I'm not gonna bother with. I don't know if you guys saw it, but Massachusetts made GameStop close all their stores because of a report about GameStop not being very clean about how they were giving the curbside to people.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think GameStop just kind of shut down pretty much everywhere.
No, there's still a lot of GameStops that are doing the curbside thing.
Not in my state. Like every store shut down essentially.
Oh, really?
Like, bugging the hell out of me. Yeah.
The one by me is still doing curbside. Last I checked a couple days ago. But I don't know. After this, GameStop might have
bigger problems.
I mean, it's like, you know, the thing is, like, I get it that all these supplies are very hard to find. Like, I'm not saying that GameStop needs to go outbid people for, you know, some hand sanitizer and whatever. But you can also make your own hand sanitizer. And, like, would it be that big a deal for you to make sure you supply all your stores with something so that they don't have to be scared to death to open the door and have to hand people your game with a plastic bag? I mean,
they should start trying to buy back hand sanitizer from people. Give them 30 cents on the dollar for it.
I don't know. Or just like, you know, make the person stand 6 feet. You open the door, you leave it on the ground, and you tell the person, okay, grab it. And then, I don't know, like, it's just, I mean, or, you know, you gotta do something, or make a little to-go window or something, like, you know, how you do with the to-go orders. But it's just, it's crazy. I don't know, I never thought this was gonna be a great idea for GameStop the moment that they started it, because they already had bad press as it was. But,
well, everyone loves GameStop.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate GameStop. It's just, they have some terrible practices that I don't know if anything will happen that will make them change that at this point, or they'll just all shut down, which will be a sad day, I think. But there's more news about even worse, GameStop competitors, but, getting to the point here. What I meant was, I wasn't talking about the movies that come out that are coming out on demand now. I mean, like, every movie that comes out now, before this happened, there would be like a 2-week window where they'd be like, oh, you can go buy it digitally right now.
Right. Digital has a little bit of an edge on physical now.
That's what I meant is, do you think we'll ever get to the point, if we get into a digital age, where gaming says, hey, we want to make all of our money. We don't want to have to clue in Walmart and GameStop and Target and whatever, and does this little, here's a window where you can buy digitally if you want, which is what Sony's avoiding now, right? Because people will stop buying their special editions to buy the game digitally, and they'll miss out on $200.
I think the market's going to have to really shift for that to be the new normal.
And I I think the company that's going to have to do that first is Microsoft. I think they have the best opportunity with it, with their Game Pass. Yeah. It'd be really interesting to see if they ever go that route and say, if you have Game Pass, you can play it a week early, or you can wait and it'll come out digitally. So I think they are in a good spot where they could try that kind of a method, but it might be a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the games too.
Yeah, true. They're not going to do it with Halo, that's for sure.
Right. If it's something that's really big where people are going to want the collector's edition, they won't want to undercut that. But if it's like a little indie release or a AA game kind of thing, I could see it.
Well, because so many niche games now have their own special editions, which you don't see with movies very much, except for like the big ass ones like, Avengers or whatever. So
yeah,
that's why movies can do that, I think.
Get my Disaster Report 4 special edition with the medical bag.
Yeah, I saw that.
Sean, correct me if I'm wrong. Sports games do this already, don't they?
They release early on digital.
Yeah, EA Access does that. EA does it.
Yeah, and MLB The Show does it now too.
Right. No, but you're paying extra though. You're paying the $5 or whatever it is to get it extra.
Premium service.
Yeah.
That is you're right though. EA Access has done it a lot. They've kind of piloted that.
Well, EA does it with all their games, I think, not just the sports games. Where you can pay it early. Well, what it does is allows you to play it early to decide if you want to buy the game or not.
Yeah.
So it's more of like a free trial that you pay $5 for. So you'll pay $60, which is not a bad idea, but obviously the way that you don't have everybody buying EA. I wonder if, like you said, Randy, if Microsoft was able to do it with not just their games, but other third parties, if this could become a model at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Where,
can you imagine the shitstorm on the internet if there was a cross-platform game and Microsoft put it out like 2 weeks before Sony?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, that kind of already happens with like DLC, like that Control DLC just hit.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes. Modern Warfare, right?
Modern Warfare Remaster 2. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
is that
exclusive for 30 days? No, it's on Sony on PS4. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I think Warzone also has exclusive things.
Well, I mean that's different because like certain like DLC or like that type of like certain stuff that always kind of they always vie for exclusive somewhere.
Mm.
So.
And they're going to need some kind of edge on the next gen if they're not going to have a lot of Xbox Series X exclusives to start with. They're going to need to do something to set themselves apart.
Well, I mean, they'll never really have exclusive Series S games because they'll be on PC.
Oh, well, so. Yeah, I mean, I'm not discounting PC, obviously.
Yeah. And they will. I mean, we're getting a little off, but I mean, Microsoft will. I mean, they bought up a bunch of studios. It's just going to take them a little bit till they get there, but
it's just not been the first year.
Right. I will just say, to get back on this whole The Last of Us thing being delayed and with the whole digital copies or physical, if Naughty Dog was just a company like Ubisoft, the game would have came out in February, buggy as hell, and then they would just have to be worried about patching it right now, and they could do that at home. So they missed the boat. They should have just released a buggy game in February like other companies would, and we would have been able to play the game.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or if you're serious.
I'm sarcastic and kind of wishing they did it so I could play The Last of Us 2 already.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I like a polished game. That's kind of the thing with Naughty Dog's games, is that sets them apart.
I don't think they would actually release a game like that.
No,
like even
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
They wouldn't, but if they would have, we would have at least been able to play it.
So what do we say to the people that are very upset and say that they should have just released it digitally?
Just play Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah, there are other games to play.
There's so many right now.
Right, I mean, I think that's the thing, is people don't realize that retail is a huge thing for games right now. You need Walmart, you need Target, you need whatever other, you sort of still need GameStop in a way. You need all these others, Best Buy, to want to stock your games. And if you do this with one game, especially one that's really big, like Last of Us, that, people are expecting that they're going to buy physically, regardless of whether you're talking about special editions or not. And then all of a sudden you go, oh yeah, well, because of this, we're going to release it digitally, and we don't even know when you'll get it physically. watch everybody go and do a bunch of returns to your store, like nobody's going to be happy about it. And it's going to make people get really pissed off at Sony. And I don't think that they want to, that's not a good spot for you to be in, if you're Sony. So I get it that a lot of people are upset that they want to play the game and all of that, but you know,
it's better to have people upset than trashing a retail partnership like with Walmart or Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not only that, it's also trashing the people that want to buy things physically, right? Like, okay, It's one thing to get your game delayed by 2 days, 3 days. It's another thing to get your game delayed by months because you don't know when it would be safe to start releasing a game in stores again.
They should just do a mail order business. Get a copy directly from Sony.
I mean, you theoretically could do that.
Yeah. I mean, Gamefly still does it, sort of.
It'll just be like the old catalog business of your...
Oh, I wouldn't mind that actually, like the Record Club of the Month kind of deal, but for video games.
Yeah.
If Limited Run did that, I would sign up. You know, one of those boutique kind of outfits.
A limited run of 20 million.
Well, I'm not saying for Last of Us. I'm just saying for little obscure indie things.
I mean, this now makes the third game that has been delayed that was supposed to come out in May. Does this worry you for other things that are coming out later beyond May? Or, you know,
no,
like Cyberpunk again?
I think like games will still come out. I mean, especially like Cyberpunk. I mean, that'll always be... the majority of people are going to buy that digitally, so...
I'm buying it digitally.
I'm worried about Ghost. I'm worried about Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that could. Are you worried about Wonderful 101? The ends. I mean, that's May 19th.
I think that's gonna. For some reason, anything that has been like shipped from Japan has not been an issue for me. So I fully expect that they'll just, they'll ship that stuff out themselves. The backers are going to get it. I don't know about it being in regular stores for normal people, but I think the backer copies are going to go out.
Right.
Yeah, I think Xenoblade's also safe because I think we were far enough into knowing what this was when they did the Direct to where I feel like they wouldn't have announced a date for Xenoblade if, I don't think there wasn't much different between that week and the next week, that I think Nintendo at that point is just, I know they have a bunch of special editions for that game, but we'll see.
Well, we missed out on the good one. The good one was the UK one, apparently, and that sold out immediately. That had the vinyl record with it.
Oh, everyone wants that.
Of course.
Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you want that?
You also hate vinyl, so that's the more funny part.
Well, but it also comes with a USB stick with all the music on it. I just want the music.
That'll be uploaded day one. You may not get it. You may not get it in your special FLAC format, but the MP3 will be out. The version will be out there instantly.
Yeah, we'll see. Somebody will throw it up there. It's on the internet somewhere.
Yeah, true. I think everything in April is sort of safe because you're already too far along. I think to really do much with that. But it's gonna be interesting to see if either some of the few big games left are going to get their releases or not. Considering this. Yeah. But yep. Sorry everyone that is upset about Last of Us. You just gotta wait a little more.
Get some perspective on the situation.
Right, like you when you were freaking out about getting Persona 4 Royal like a day late. Persona 5 Royal.
Well, that's important.
I mean, you were kind of overly upset about that for a game you knew was going to show up eventually.
I was annoyed because you and I ordered this game the same damn day.
Yeah, and I didn't even get to play it the first day I had it, so you still were ahead of me.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Well, speaking of an event that's been canceled, E3 was canceled, but IGN decided that they're going to sort of do an E3 type event of their own, partnering with Square Enix, Sega, Bandai Namco, Amazon, Google Stadia, Devolver, THQ Nordic, and others, and Twitter to...
Are they really going to have an announcement with Google Stadia? Have they announced a single game for that thing lately?
They did have...
I think, Doom Eternal just came out for it.
What, Dermatologist?
No, Doom Eternal.
Oh.
What?
Sorry, like you said, Dermatologist.
They did.
I'd play that. That sounds like a VR game I would like.
There was a Google Stadia game that came out that was like exclusive to it, and I don't remember. It wasn't too long ago. I think it was like a week ago. But it's like, I think it's like one of those. I think Google Stadia has had like a few indies that have come out that's exclusive, but I mean all the big games. I mean they're just now getting made for that thing. So
it'll only take 2 more years for those games to come out.
If that thing's even still going by then.
That won't be.
But either way, I think it's cool that IGN is sort of doing something to kind of build an audience around what would have been E3, because we still don't know when Nintendo, Ubisoft, and Microsoft are actually going to do their events, their digital things. And we already have Bethesda drop out that we talked about on the last show. So, yeah. I mean, do you think we could, this will be a good thing that may continue to happen every year after this, or like that, the kind of funny games showcase thing, or it's a one-off?
I think it could happen. I mean, look at like the Game Awards. Like that kind of started off from nothing and became something big now.
Yeah, it's tough to tell because it's coming in on a year that's so weird and different, and you said, it is kind of just replacing what E3 would have been. So we'll see if they continue it now, or what even's going to happen with E3 next year.
If only G4 still existed, they could do something with that.
You can blame, well, other than G4 just dying because of G4, but you can also...
I blame cops for G4 dying.
They had already started putting other things on G4 by the time cops got there.
Yeah.
That was just... Like, the cool thing was putting, like, the anime stuff that kind of made sense, but then once they started putting cops and, like, other reality shows, it was like, oh, this is
It was
gone.
like cops, it was like endless marathons of cops and cheaters, and I'm like, yep. Prime demographic right here.
This has gone down the drain. Rogue Legacy 2 got announced. That's cool. I was a fan of the first Rogue Legacy, so one of the first roguelike games that got popular. So, yeah, I don't know if Jens, you or Mark are...
I played a lot of it. I beat it a few times.
I don't like roguelikes, so it's not for me.
Why not, Jens? You're not a...
It's not my genre.
You don't like having to repeat the same thing?
Yep, exactly.
It's not even the same thing. The map's different every time.
Yeah, the randomization. I don't know. It's just not, it just feels like a grind.
Honestly, some of the combinations of characters you can get on that game make it worth it. I enjoy it. I'm with you. Rogue games are very hit and miss with me. I did Rogue Legacy back when we did the backlog busting project with Wes, and I really enjoyed this one. It was pretty good.
Well, Rogue Lite is the one where it's not procedurally generated, right? It is just repeating the same thing, and then roguelike is the one that's procedurally... I don't know, Mark. You're the one that...
At this point, they're pretty interchangeable to me, and that'll infuriate someone, but I don't care.
Yeah, but, Randy has finished Resident Evil 3 Remake, so he will get to talk about it in a little bit here, but before we talk about Resident Evil 3, sort of, I guess, the big news that has been... revealed in the time that since we did a last show is not really, because the same guy also said that we were supposed to be a soft reboot of Silent Hill, and then that it got squashed by Konami, so we'll see. But there's been a lot more legs to this with Resident Evil 8. There's been a lot of rumors about Resident Evil 8 already being kind of in development, and that it's first person like Resident Evil 7, and that it's also starring the same protagonist, Ethan Winters, as 7. Randy is someone that, reviewed Resident Evil 7 and enjoyed Resident Evil 7. How do you feel about getting another one in that kind of same style?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind the first-person perspective, so I'm okay with that. It's a good mix. I mean, if they can go back and forth with the over-the-shoulder stuff with some of the remakes and stuff and go first-person, you can do a lot of stuff with this series. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I've kind of avoided a lot of these spoilers stuff just because I want to wait whether these are true or not. I mean, you never know with the rumors, but he's been right with the Resident Evil series before. But I figured after 3, they would go back to the next in line before they start doing more remake stuff. So, I mean, this all makes sense to me that we'll get it next year.
So is this the same team that did Resident Evil 7? Same style, same team?
I would think so.
Yes.
The question is, will Resident Evil 8 also have Triple Triad in it?
No, but yeah, I mean, I liked 7. I didn't get to play all the way through, but getting another one in this style, and hopefully it's successful for them. I just wonder, like, does it get to the point where maybe it's too much, too fast? I mean, 3 Resident Evils in 3 years?
People are getting a little, I mean, looking at reviews for Resident Evil 3 after I played it, it seems like it's already happening. But if they're all made by different teams, and it's not like Assassin's Creed where they start feeling the same, where, I mean, you have one first person and you have one over the shoulder, and you do more with that resistance stuff, which I still need to get into. At least keep it a little different. I think it'd be okay.
I don't know. Just somebody tap me on the shoulder and let me know when we see the continuing adventures of Wesker's son Jake as he deals with Neo Umbrella. That's when I'll jump back into the series.
Big Mueller coming at you.
Hey, you gotta wait for Resident Evil 6 to get remade, sir.
Well, you mean
6-2.
And they added to the Ada co-op campaign, which is like nuts.
Yeah, you talked about that on the last show. How it's basically like a bad mod.
Yeah,
like they just modded another character in.
Yeah, because you're the only one who can actually do anything.
Yeah, and you're like teleporting all over the game because you don't have a mode of traversal for certain parts and stuff.
Yep.
It's bizarre. Anyway, but sorry, Resident Evil 8. Ethan Winters, The Continuing Adventures.
Well, there you go. Ethan Winters, The Continuing Adventures. It'd be cool to see how they go on from there. 2 of you guys were not here to talk about this, so I'll be interested to hear your take on it, but there's been a little bit more information on those Super Mario remasters that still have not been confirmed by Nintendo, but you'd imagine that this is one of those E3 digital presentation things that they were waiting to show off. The big rumors about Super Mario 3D games showing up on Switch as part of the 35th anniversary now has a little bit more legs to it, with the chance that Super Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy all show up in one package as an anniversary edition for one fee. I mean...
Nothing on Galaxy 2?
Yeah, there's no... the only things that we have info on are 64, Sunshine, Galaxy, and then 3D World will be getting a deluxe version. Huh. So don't know if Galaxy 2 gets put in there and it's just there and not a lot of talk about it, or...
I would hope so. And those, to be fair, just playing the first Galaxy, my main thing of that, besides the graphical update, is like not having those gimmicky Wii motion controls. It's just going to make Galaxy a lot better.
Well, Galaxy already came to a different console, so yeah.
Did it?
There's an Android, like Chinese Android device, and Galaxy 1 and 2 came to that thing.
Okay.
Like NVIDIA Shield or whatever in like Japan or China. China. Sorry.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, it might take you some while, but you could play that game on an Android tablet fairly easily.
Man, I was to get myself an Android tablet and a Chinese Nintendo account. I don't know how I even go about
Android.
this.
Android, there's no security on that thing.
Sure.
What do you think, Randy? Are you excited for this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little disappointed that it seems like they're getting away from just bringing out old games, and they're just, you have to wait for them to remake them and stuff now, instead of polishing out some of their classic console stuff that they were doing for the online stuff. That just seems to
be fair,
not do anything
kind of does
anymore.
need the treatment, though.
Also, you literally just played Resident Evil 3.
No, but I'm talking like Capcom doesn't have a system where they have a tab where you can play old Capcom
yeah, but
games.
they've also been doing that for the past 2 generations, and people are sick of that. And it's like, how many more times do I have to play Mario World or Mario 64?
Well, I mean, I that's what I'm saying. It's before you just had to buy the game over and over if you wanted to. Now they were building this thing that seemed really cool, where you had your little virtual console thing that they just kept adding games to randomly, and now they've just stopped doing that, and that's disappointing. It was free with your online subscription, so it was a cool little addition, and all the little side parts of some games that they added to were cool. So I mean, it's still cool that they're remaking these, and they're going to make them a big collection. I remember having the Zelda collection on the GameCube one, and that was a cool little collection that they did. So I'm cool with them celebrating. It would be 35th anniversary or something for Mario for that. I'm still waiting for Nintendo to get on board with the achievements and trophies and stuff, because I want to collect trophies in these old games.
I mean, yeah, that would really make it worth it, I think, to be able to go through and do trophies and stuff like that. Make it really feel like you're accomplishing things.
Playing the game is its own reward, man.
I'd just be
And
happy.
I did play it for its own reward. Now I want to do it for extra shit.
Right. I'd just be happy with the Switch being like a comprehensive repository of the classic Nintendo stuff.
Yeah.
Like basically, if I never have to take my Wii or my Wii U out of the box again and can just have all the relevant games, like there's only a couple of Wii games that I really would want that are still missing and a couple of Wii U games, and then they've basically got everything over. So if they bring over the Galaxies...
feel by the time the Switch is done, we are going to have almost all the Wii U games that matter.
Yeah. It'll be close at least. From the Wii, we'll need like Last Story and what's that game where you go up the tower? I forget what that's called. There are a couple of them that I would like to see brought over. But yeah, if they bring over the two Galaxies and 3D World, I think we'll be in. I'd be happy to play those again, especially if they're doing a lot of work to it. I don't think those were ever going to come to the Virtual Console or whatever their subscription service are. They're just too big for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think that that's good because, as we saw, I think in our chat when I mentioned it, right, as you did have, Robert and I saw other people, around the interwebs saying, oh, well, here's Nintendo getting to prove that the Switch is a port machine, and that's all it is, and we're getting old shit,
That's not new, also. I mean...
It's not like...
Right,
yeah,
but... Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, I'm just saying it's not like Nintendo is not making plenty of original games. Like this argument that they're going to flood it with nothing but ports. It's kind of ridiculous.
Right, but is it really a port when you're taking the time to put new stuff in there and then also, update the graphics and everything else? I mean, at least that's probably the case in Sunshine and AV Galaxy, but I mean, I think you're allowed to celebrate your franchise when it's been able to live on for 35 years. And
Pandora's Tower is the game I was thinking of.
And I think it's, to be fair, like with what's going on, I mean, can you really expect Nintendo to...
Again, look at Capcom. They put their games out everywhere repeatedly.
Yeah. Well, but Capcom also told you straight up, we're doing this, whether you like it or not. So, and obviously people didn't care because they keep buying it, so...
Yeah, but like putting 6 Mega Man games together, it just shows you how little they've changed over the years. Like at least 6 Mario games, they will differ quite a bit from one another, at least graphically, if not how they play.
Yeah, I mean that also comes down to Nintendo didn't overdo it with Mario, right? They had their spin-off games, right? But they didn't just release 20 mainline Mario titles per console, So that's also what's kind of led it to.
Where is the HD version of Hotel Mario from the Philips CDI? That's my question.
You know what? I didn't dislike that. I liked that game when I was a kid.
Or that terrible Mario is missing for the SNES.
I learned a lot from that game.
You learned that Mario could go missing.
Hey, Luigi can do stuff by himself too, man. He's proven it with Luigi's Mansion. He can have his own game. Let him have a life too, He doesn't need to be in Mario's shadow forever.
Yeah.
So finally, also talking on the Nintendo front, another, I guess, sort of franchise of Nintendo's. Well, it's been mostly appearing on Nintendo systems, even though this one was gonna be on PS4 as well. Cooking Mama Cookstar, the latest in the Cooking Mama franchise, was supposed to come out at the end of last month, and then all of a sudden just disappeared. And IGN did a big story about this, that they couldn't figure out who the publisher was. You couldn't figure out who the developer was. There was 3 different publishers on this game at one point. Then all of a sudden, yesterday comes out reports that apparently Cooking Mama Cookstar was removed from the eShop because it had a cryptocurrency DRM in it. We using blockchain technology.
So, was it farming for cryptocurrency while you were playing the game?
I think it was farming even when you weren't playing the game. It was just installing the Switch or the PS4.
Yeah. Well, you also had to have it using the internet or whatever. As soon as you connected to the internet, they would start the cryptocurrency data collection. But then the developer said that that's not true, that wasn't in there. But then you had people data mine, and it in fact was not in there, but you could also tell that it was in there at one point, just removed, and that it does affect the battery of the Switch when you play the game because it was removed so badly. So think about that.
Bizarre.
Yeah, it's.
I think the publisher is headed up, or it's owned by some subsidiary by the surviving Koch brother.
Yeah, well, for Koch Media, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's fun.
No, it's just funny, like, to think about, like, we're talking about a game where you cook stuff, and we have
to... see, folks, the Switch really is just an Android tablet.
Randy, how do you feel about games now taking your data and then using,
I'm sure it's not the first time.
Yeah.
It's just the first one that got caught.
I mean, mobile games do it all the time, so we don't think about it at all. But yeah, just to think about it's supposed to be this wholesome game, and it's got this terrible backstory to it. But I was a big fan of the Cooking Mama games on the DS, so sad to hear this one has a terrible backstory to it. Yeah, some nefarious stuff. But all right, so let's talk about the games we've been playing. Might as well start off with the big one. Randy, Resident Evil 3 Remake, man, a lot of mixed thoughts. You have a lot of people that really, really enjoyed it, and then some people just did not like it at all. Where do you fall on?
I'm so in the middle of it. Like, I have to write a review for the website tomorrow, and I have no clue where I'm going to score it yet. Graphically, it's just like Resident Evil 2, just absolutely fantastic, stunning, amazing. The audio as well is just so great. Like with the original, Mark and I were talking about this earlier today. With the originals, I loved 2 more than 3 anyways. So I obviously had more of a nostalgia feel for 2. I think
everyone had more nostalgia feel for 2 than 3.
But people have, to me, I mean, it's been a while since I played Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, the original one. But people that I've seen on reviews have like this rose-colored glasses feel about Nemesis that I just don't understand. So I think a lot of people think that Mr. X in the remake of 2 was what Nemesis was in the original Resident Evil 3, and that's not the case at all. He didn't follow you around everywhere. You went through a door and he was gone. And then he would show up in another set piece. And that's how he works in this game as well. He's more of a set piece situation. There's parts early on in the game when you're more in the open part of the town where it feels like he's following you around everywhere, but that's just because it's a more open area. And then after that, it's more set pieces and cutscenes and stuff. I will say that Mr. X made me completely nervous to play Resident Evil 2 Remake, and Nemesis made me cuss more just because of when he would come out. And he popped out at just the most random times, and he made me like jump out of my seat more than anything else. But yeah, just like the originals, Resident Evil 3 is a lot more action based. It's a lot more on combat. They've completely stripped it of all of the puzzles. I remember in the demo they had showed a puzzle that I remember from the original that I was excited to solve, and it was a side thing. Like you find pieces to it and you just throw it in there and you get extra items and stuff. There are no puzzles in this game, which is really disappointing because I don't remember Resident Evil 3 having some really weird puzzles to solve. So that's a little disappointing. There's also a point where it reminded me of a section in Resident Evil 4 where it was like a gauntlet of zombies and hunters and stuff that you had to keep away from a certain situation. I'm trying not to hit spoilers for anyone that doesn't know the story at all, but there's a point where you have to keep them away from a certain spot, and it was just wave after wave, and it's like, this isn't the Resident Evil I like to play, which is why I'm not as big on 4 as most people are, because I don't like the action parts, but it's put together really, really well. I think they tied up the story better than they did in the original. They added a few pieces in there that made it work really well. I know everyone hates Carlos's hair, but I like his character better in this one than the original. And his hair's fine, and you can get his original hair if you really want to fix it. It looks weird. But all in all, the game's really, really good. It's not as good as Resident Evil 2, which I didn't think it was going to be anyways. I also hear a lot of people like, oh, they made it in a year. It's like, I don't think people realize that this was supposed to come out with Resident Evil 2. And then they kind of got behind on things, so they just decided to split it up, which is why it kind of feels like DLC for Resident Evil 2. I think, honestly, if they were able to reach their mark last year and have 2 and 3 come out at the same time, that would have easily been my game of the year, because this is a very good told story. It took me about 6.5, 7 hours to play. But I'm so mixed, because there's parts in this game that just make me scratch my head, and it's not as good as 2, but it's not as bad as some other people think. I'll probably be around the 8 range, but I can go anywhere from 7 to 9. I'm conflicted.
How do you feel about, like, do you think you would have instantly loved it more if they would have kept the puzzles in?
Yeah, I mean, I like the puzzle. I mean, they're so over the top, but I love the puzzles in the Resident Evil series. I mean, that's part of it for me. It's because they took away the scariness of the zombies and stuff, because obviously with the dodge mechanic and stuff, I mean, you can get around the zombies pretty easily. So it's taken away that horror aspect of it, and it made it more just action-y. So to balance that out with the puzzles, I think would have been a little bit better. Again, I know a lot of people hated that Nemesis is more cutscene-y and more sporadic, but I don't think they could have done with Nemesis what they did with Mr. X in the police station, because for the most part, Resident Evil 3 is very linear. There's only a couple sections where you can kind of work around. So him following you around would just been him following you down a corridor the whole time. So I don't think that mechanic would have worked in this game. So I liked what they did with Nemesis.
Well, Mark, I mean, I know you were looking forward to the game. With all of what's been said, and does it hamper your, like, how excited you were to play it, or?
No, because, I mean, I didn't actually like a lot of the puzzles in RE2. Like that, like, stupid fucking chess puzzle. It's like, oh man, this is really annoying.
Makes you think for a minute.
Not really. It just made me, look up a guide. I'm like, I want to get through this and go.
Oh, but you're cheating though at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, but he likes to he cheats all the time. He was telling me about Resident Evil 3, how he's just going to get all the infinite weapons and play it. That's not playing the game.
So we'll be playing Resident Evil 6 soon enough.
Well, but we'll have already beaten it properly, so we'll have had the real experience.
Yeah, it's like you play what was it? NBA Jam was my favorite thing to. Well, okay, we played a couple games normal. Okay, let's start putting like the hot spots and the crazy shit in there, because whatever. But
once you play it the first time, go for it. And I will say Resident Evil 3. While it is a shorter game than 2, because it's only the one scenario, so you don't have 4 different playthroughs to go through. They do a cool thing where you have missions to do, which are kill so many enemies, or find every locked box, or play through the game and only use a med kit once, or stuff like that, where you get coins and then you use those coins to unlock items. So you can unlock items early than they were in the game, or you can unlock different weapons or unlimited ammo and stuff. So then you can really start messing around with the game. So for completionists out there, or people that really want to, like Mark, that wants to break the game, but do it the way they would like you to break the game, they have that in there for you.
So, like, do you feel like that also hurts the game, not having the replayability of, like, where you could go through the different scenarios like 2? Or? Not really.
I got my fill with the story. I'm going to go back and play it again just because I enjoy that universe. But just having the one scenario is fine. I don't know what they could have done with it. Like, I don't really want to play as Carlos more. They do a good job. You have a couple segments with him, so it's not like you can have a scenario B where you're playing as Carlos, because most of the time he's just hanging out at the subway station.
But what if you're just playing as a giant block of tofu?
Yeah, it would be cool if they brought something crazy like that back. Honestly, actually, it would be better. There's a villain that shows up in the middle of this game. Again, I don't want to spoil anything. It would be kind of cool to have a scenario where you play as him, because he always seems to be a step or two ahead of you. So it'd be really cool to see what he goes through to set things up. So I will say that would be cool.
Well, yeah.
Are you upset? Are you upset about they changed the skirt to a skort?
No, because you can switch it back if you want.
Oh, as part of that outfit?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so it's a total Tempest in a Teapot.
Yeah. Oh, no, what I've seen is people complaining about that they made Jill ugly.
What?
No, she's gorgeous.
That they made Jill
for a video game character.
That they made Jill look like a guy.
That's ridiculous.
Her facial structure is more of a man's facial structure, or whatever it is. I'm just
Jill's a badass.
It's all part of the social justice plot,
Yeah, exactly. It's all, oh my God, we had to change it because, people are going to complain.
And Jill has some one-liners in this game that are fantastic. She's great in this game.
So I did want to get everybody's thought on this just because it was something that was brought up a lot, that I saw, being on Twitter, and I had to make a comment about it as well. How do you feel about the game is 6 hours, it shouldn't be $60?
Why? Other games are.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to get you, because I saw a lot of people saying, it's 6 hours. That's not worth $60.
Also, it has a multiplayer mode, so it's basically like a Call of Duty.
Well,
is
it actually good? Like,
I haven't tried it yet. It's on there. And actually, there are two standalone games. There are two different icons on my PlayStation 4. They just threw them together. It would have been cool if they could have split them up, honestly, and made this a $30 game. But no, 6 hours is fine, especially because you can replay it. There's hard modes, there's extra missions in there, or not extra missions, but extra items you can collect, and you can play it differently, and it's totally fine. It's like, not every game has to be 100 hours to be good.
I played Mirror's Edge. Mirror's Edge was like 4 hours long. Quantum of Solace was like 4 hours long. Wanted Weapons of Fate was like 4 hours long. I think Kane and Lynch was like 3 hours long.
And most of those early Gears of War games, the campaign is not very long either.
Yeah, Gears games are like 6.
I mean, people are also complaining. They haven't even gotten the game yet. Most of them, they're complaining about Final Fantasy VII Remake's length. But, I think you said about like it being 30 hours. And it's like, that's
good.
That's normal. Okay, you see, this is the misconception I think a lot of people have. Like, most RPGs are not Dragon Quest or Persona length. Most RPGs are 30 to 40 hours that come out nowadays. And even back in the day.
I want to say the original Final Fantasy VII was like 30, 40 hours.
Yeah, the people that spent... Yes, it was. It's if you went around doing everything, yes, it was more than 40. But if you went and kind of sort of did some things, you didn't really mess with the mini games that much and whatever, you could beat it in like 30, 35 hours.
You can say that about any RPG, though.
I know, but
If you just mainline Persona 5, that can only take you 40 hours, really.
But 40 hours is a lot of game, though. Like, you're still talking about 40 hours. Like, we're not talking about, you made the game go from 30 hours to 6. Like, I just think people are complaining way too much about things. Like, they stretched out what is essentially like, 3 to 4 hours of game into 30, and you're complaining about that? I mean, I just don't. And they made it look super beautiful the entire time. I mean, my God, what do you want?
Plenty substantial. I don't understand these complaints.
Also, if you don't like it, don't play it.
Yeah, if the game's good, the game's good.
And the one thing okay, you know what? I shouldn't say anything like this, but we're also not talking about like Nintendo titles. We're talking about two companies that have no problem putting games on sale very quickly, and Square Enix and Capcom. So you will probably find Resident Evil 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake for at least 40, if not less, very quickly.
You can get Resident Evil 2 right now for 20.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, but that game's also, almost a year and a half old?
No, it's only a year old.
Yeah.
Well, a year and 3 months. But still, like...
Yeah, but Nintendo has games that are 5 years older than that. They're $60.
That's what I'm saying, though. We're not talking about a Nintendo title. We're talking about two companies that will gladly put their games on sale, and you'll be able to get them cheaper. So, if you're going to complain about the length of a game, most likely those games will be on sale, and you can buy them at whatever price you deem is fair for you.
I think most people would also rather have a shorter game than a longer game.
I'm in that boat.
Yeah,
Mark and I have that all the time.
It depends on how much you actually like the game, but generally speaking, like, believe me, Persona 5 was like 20 hours shorter. I don't think I would necessarily mind.
Trust me, like, the main reason why I did not finish Dragon Quest until I played it on the Switch was because I can't sit in front of my TV for 80 hours anymore like that. Like, You know, when you don't have responsibilities, when you're a kid, or maybe you're one of these people that, I don't know where these people get all this time that complain that their game's not 100 hours long, but
not every game needs to be a Skyrim.
Yeah, it's like, yes, it's okay. Yeah, exactly. It's okay to have one Skyrim or whatever, or one Persona 5 or one Dragon Quest. But like, if you want every RPG or every big game to be 100 hours long, cool. I'm glad. If you really spend that time to finish all those games, that's awesome. But most people don't, and that's why most people don't finish games nowadays, because all these open world games have to be 50, 60 hours long because you have the people complaining that there's not enough content in there to justify $60, and I don't think that that's right.
I mean, that's the rationale for why they really bloated Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
I like that game a lot more when it was only like 20 to 30 hours, not 80 hours.
See, that's a huge turnoff for me. It's like, I know I'm never going to play Odyssey because it's just too daunting, and I know I'm not going to want to put that much time into an Assassin's Creed game anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I think I finished Origin without hitting like, I think there was like 20 different like map areas. I only hit like 8 of them. And I think I hit the main, I completed the main story, and I'm like, that's a problem. Like, you don't see that this might be an issue. Like, you just overstuffed this game too much to not even care.
My biggest issue with all that too is the people that are complaining that Resident Evil is too short, Resident Evil 3, is Resident Evil who would complain when if Resident Evil got padded out to be 12 hours. Because they then say, oh, well, you're doing a bunch of boring stuff for 6 hours. You know?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Capcom could have, if they're so worried about like making the game longer, you get to a point where you're trying to get a vaccine or something, and say, instead of, okay, you're here to there, say you got the vaccine, now you have to take it all the way back to the RPD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And people would complain, oh, this was a terrible section. Well, then, what do you want from them?
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of the very Persona 5 Royal that we've discussed here, both Jens and Mark have now been playing it.
I'm playing it right now.
Yeah.
What? Like, while we're... Oh, that's right.
How dare you, sir? How dare you know? Yeah.
I guess you can play this background game since you've played it like 4 times and you're skipping all the dialogue.
I know everything. Yeah, I'm just gonna fly into this dungeon. Like, yep, I know these codes.
I'm so glad that like I didn't do my second playthrough of original Persona 5, because now I can actually like just kind of do this as my second playthrough and, you know, really just pay attention, listen to every line of dialogue, do all the things, and it doesn't feel like I'm wasting my time or like it's overly familiar. Like, enough time has passed where it feels fresh again.
Yeah.
And I like the new stuff. I love the introduction of the new character, Kazumi.
Yeah, Kazumi.
Yeah, they introduced her really early on in the tutorial section, and then I've met her again on the train. And
she pops up like once or twice more, and then like around like a little further, like around the end of the second dungeon, like she actually becomes like a important character.
Yeah, she seems really nice, and man, like I mean, that game also, Persona 5 always looked great. It always was very stylish, but just having. And it's funny because not all the graphics are in 4K. Like, a lot of the character portraits and kind of overlays and stuff are still obviously the 1080p graphics. But the stuff that's actually rendered in 3D is just so like nice and sharp now. And it's got the HDR colors, so it's like a little bit more vibrant. It's a really, really great looking game now.
Yep. I mean, I don't have a cool TV, but it looks nice to me.
Yeah, it's a slight upgrade, but a notable one for sure. Like, it's just ever so slightly sharper. And, the new mechanics are cool. I like having that gun, being able to use that gun a lot.
Yeah, but I noticed they also decreased the ammo quite a bit.
Yes.
Eventually. Oh,
I mean, that's the trade-off, is the gun is more available, but there's less ammo.
Right.
Yeah, fair enough. And
but, that's a worthy trade-off, I think. Like, I'd much rather have that than...
And you're right, Mark. That DLC is pretty powerful.
Yeah, there's one... I bought the DLC... You get like a bunch of free DLC, but there's like 2 like game DLCs that are good. One is just items, you don't really need it that much. But one is like a few personas, and one persona like breaks the game entirely. Actually, 2 of them do, because one of them you can get like the best armor in the game, and the other persona, every time you every time you win a battle, you get instantly re-healed, and it also has an attack that like decimates everything.
Yep.
So what
it definitely makes the early dungeons kind of a cakewalk. But that's fine. So, sorry, Sean.
So for Randy and I, who I've played a little bit, but I didn't ever get to anywhere near finishing it. And Randy, who has never played, is this the definitive way to play Persona 5?
Oh yeah.
I probably wouldn't go back to the old one. I don't know exactly how different it is yet, other than the new character. I mean, mostly the same.
Well, they add in like a third. They add in like a third big town for you to go around in.
Well, yeah, but I haven't gotten any of that stuff yet, so I can't judge it. Have you done it yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where you meet up the new girl. She hangs out there, and so does Akechi now as well.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, there's like different areas, like different nights. Like you can go to like a jazz club, which I don't have access to yet, but there's like a temple you can visit. A billiards thing, like a pool hall, and then a darts game, which is really terrible.
Yeah, motion control darts.
Yeah, like it's well, I figured out that you can just press X to throw the dart, which is the way it should be. But there's like you aim the dart reticle with the controller, and it's like why you have to like move it around, and you have to like lock it into place. And like once you lock it in like one quadrant, the dart will like move about randomly. You have to like press X or swing the controller to like throw it, and it's like who thought of this?
Well,
Yakuza, like, didn't you learn from the Yakuza? Like that was fine.
Well, you'll
brought
be
on the
playing
Yakuza
darts
dev
in Final Fantasy VII Remake as well. So
yep.
Every game has a darts mini game and a fishing mini game.
It just shows how influential Deadly Premonition was.
Yeah, I'm in the third dungeon right now. I mean, it has changed somewhat. Like, not that like nuts and bolts of the story per se, but like there are a lot of like little changes for good and some for bad. I mean, but yeah, I really like it.
Yep, I'm enjoying it a lot too.
That's good.
It's
you guys are
still wonderful. Still one of the best JRPGs ever made. If you like that genre at all, you should play it. And obviously, if you're not into the genre, then I know lots of people who have tried playing Persona games and fallen off them early on because they just don't have the patience for them or they're too slow. I know, Mark, you complained about like you wish they had sped up the ramp up.
Yeah, I think the game should go like, hey, you 100% of Persona 5, the original one. You know the score. Let's just show you the new shit and let's get going.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I mean, in your case, you didn't 100% the game, or I mean, you didn't play it in years. So then, yeah, if you want to see like everything, fine. Like, I don't hold it against you. But it's like, yeah, for me, I'm like, man, I don't want to have to keep going to this Kamoshida shit over and over.
Well,
especially since I'm gonna have to play this game at least twice to get all the trophies.
Again, not 100%ing Persona games makes me like Persona games better, I think. I'm just playing them to enjoy them.
So where do we classify? Is this an expansion?
Well, it has different trophies, so I would call it a new game.
It's a weird criteria. I'm going to reserve judgment on whether or not it qualifies as a new game or whether I would consider it for Game of the Year, depending on like how substantial the new stuff is. So I'll let you know when I finish it.
We already know Randy's take.
He loves it.
Yeah, I just want to argue, so. It's not a new game.
We should talk about the argument we had about what new Resident Evil game will be remade.
That was a fun argument, too.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of JRPGs, Sean, you and I, we both played the Bravely Default 2 demo.
Yes. You got a lot further than I did. But
yeah, I did that dungeon, which I ended up going back and farming a whole bunch in the Outer World.
Mm-hmm.
And like going back and like stocking up on health potions and stuff, because the first time I went into that dungeon, the first time 4 bunnies came up to me and just decimated the team.
Oh.
Like those bunnies will do 400 damage, which is half. Your characters start out at 800 health, so they'll take half your health away in one attack. Just wipe out your group, and I'm just like, man, I'm not good enough for this. Like, I've got to go and it's weird to be grinding in a demo.
Yeah.
But of course the demo, like with the last Bravely Default, they did the thing where the demo is unique from the main game, and you're going to carry some stuff over, I'm assuming. So it's not like you're wasting, it doesn't feel like you're wasting your time, right? It's unique content. And it's pretty substantial content too. I haven't finished it yet, but it's really great. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah. I love the art style.
I've always liked the Bravely Default art style, but seeing it kind of basically like adapted to what the Switch can do. When they first like pan across the town, that desert town that's now become flooded since it's like weird. You're in the desert, but ever since the crystals were taken, the water level has started to rise. And at first, the townspeople thought this was great, but then the water didn't stop rising. They're like, oh no, we'll be completely flooded eventually.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with that. And like the first time the camera pans through that, it's almost like a VanillaWare game in how the environment looks. Like it's got that painterly feel. But of course, since it's Bravely Default, it's like a combination of 2D art and 3D art, which is really nicely layered. They do nice perspective stuff with that. It looks really awesome.
I love walking through the town, and you definitely see that when you walk through. As you go further up or down, as you're walking by, you can see that the paint layered on. It's very good. The soundtrack is good as well. It's in the demo. Did you play around with the jobs and sub-job thing?
Yeah, I'm really happy with the job system and how flexible it is. I mean, of course, that's typical for Bravely Default, but it's just good to see basically each character, and it's kind of the old group. So, you'll recognize your characters from Bravely Default, but they've got, you've got the Freelancer, which is basically like an adventurer or rogue type class with skills like Lucky Charm, Body Slam, or like gaining extra XP. Yeah. And you've got Monk, which is like a melee class. You've got 2 mage classes, White Mage and Black Mage, which is like the defensive magic and offensive magic.
Right.
And then you've got Vanguard, which is like a tank class. And basically, each character plays starts at the beginning of the demo. Each character starts with the same level of HP and same level of SP. And you can kind of, do whatever, you can assign whatever, one of the classes you can assign as your main class, one is your subclass, and you do whatever you want. You can kind of assign whichever classes you want to whichever characters. So it's very flexible. It's almost like Final Fantasy 12 level flexible.
Yeah. I love that you could go through and pick which ones you wanted, and then also have characteristics of, you can make a Black Mage that also can do cure. You can make a Vanguard that can do some, pretty heavy attacks. It's great. Yeah, it's just totally, and you figure out really quick what works and what doesn't, because some of they made the demo hard on purpose. They tell you that when you first start it also.
To force you to experiment.
Yeah. So that you have to figure out, oh, wait, this combination doesn't really work. I have to default more. I have to, whatever you want to do with that battle system. It's a lot of tinkering and a lot of, getting used to. There's been a couple of times I thought I was almost going to die.
I died a lot.
Yeah.
Based on whatever your configuration is for your characters, you also start unlocking different passive skills that you can have on, that you can equip. So yeah, there's just a lot of depth already just in this demo, and I've been really enjoying it. I'm glad you called out the music. I'm really happy that Linked Horizon is back.
Yeah.
So I was not a huge fan. I love Bravely Default, the soundtrack, fantastic soundtrack. Bravely Second is okay. It's not the same people, and it doesn't have the themes. So I was just super happy just booting that demo up, and it's like main menu, it's the Bravely Default theme in an awesome new version. Just like, yes, I'm home.
Yes, sounds good. And then also having that the extra systems. I mean, that's always been there, but just having to remember about that again, of making sure you have the correct weapons with the correct classes, because then there's too much weight on the characters and it slows them down, or they're not. It doesn't match them well, so the attack isn't as potent as it should be. It's like there's so much smart stuff layered in there that's great RPG goodness.
Yeah. My only question of this is I wonder how this game is going to be for newcomers, because it does kind of pick up from where Bravely Default left off.
That's not a game I think you can really... You're going to be really lost, I think. It's like picking up Kingdom Hearts 3. If you want to play, you can, but you're not going to know what's going on.
Yeah. Like it's like very obviously a direct continuation.
Even if you played a lot of Kingdom Hearts games, you still don't know what's going on.
Oh, that's true.
Well, yeah, Randy, you played like Kingdom Hearts 3 just... randomly, right? Yeah.
I haven't played it yet. It's still downloaded on the Xbox. No, but I've played 1 and 2. So I've played some of the Kingdom Hearts games. It's just one of those I was going to play before Resident Evil 3 and then downloaded it, and it's just still sitting there.
You had Control to play instead, which is a good game.
It was good. I enjoyed Control.
Well, you beat it, right? So,
I didn't beat the boss that Mark keeps wanting me to try.
Yeah.
Maybe someday.
Well, you did play Doom Eternal, Randy. So how do you?
Well, out of the 20 minutes of it I played today before my daughter decided that my lap was where she needed to put her knees the whole time, and I had to turn it off. It's really good. It's what you would expect: high action, crazy music, just over the top, everything. It's really funny I'm like trying to go through this first mission, looking for all these secrets and stuff, and trying to go slow. And then I look at my map, and it's like, you've missed 4 secrets. It's like, where are they? But it's been fun so far from the little bit I've played.
Well, you finished Ori.
Yes.
So does
the reviews up.
Yeah, reviews up.
I like looking back at it now. I still haven't decided if I like that one more than the first one or not. Story wise, I think the first one's better. But I like that they added more combat to this one, and the bosses are so fantastic. But it's still just one of the more beautiful platformers you can play. Definitely, if you're into that kind of game, the Super Meat Boys, the Oris, those kind of games, absolutely must play game for you. One of those that I know when we come back in December or January and do our Game of the Year stuff, it's going to be one that's going to be high on my list, but I don't see it being good enough to be one of those top contenders, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what ends up coming out, right? Depending on
what gets canceled completely.
Yeah, how long this continues on, this situation, and what else doesn't come out, or gets delayed further into the year to the point where, maybe not enough people got to play it. So, yeah, I mean, I think right now you're looking at, one of the top 5, maybe top 8 games of the year with what's coming out and including, the Final Fantasy VII. Because everything is so up in the air. After Final Fantasy VII, you have some smaller games like the Trials of Mana and the Wonderful 101, where that's a remaster. But, it's not a huge slate that you have because everything got either delayed to September or it's delayed indefinitely. So, yeah.
It's crazy. We saw this time when we were doing our year in review stuff. We were looking at the March, April, May of this year, just talking, there's so many games. And now so many games have been postponed and stuff. It kind of opened things up. Mark and I had a fun conversation the other day. He got mad at me because I stopped playing Bloodstained. I finally gave up on that. But it was so funny to me that I was sitting there at the same time working on 4 different games and not realizing I was playing 4 different Metroidvania games. And all that came out last year. Ori came out this year. But I was playing Ori, I was playing Control, I was playing Guacamelee 2, and I was playing Bloodstained. And Bloodstained just didn't, for me, live up to that level of gameplay. But it was just funny when I got done with a bunch of them, I went, I just beat 3 Metroidvanias all basically the same week and didn't even realize I was playing the same kind of game because that kind of game is so broad and different. It was like, because I don't even see Control as a Metroidvania, but it really is.
Yeah.
You do a lot of going back and...
Well, you get powers, and then it's like, oh, I can access this door now. Or it literally has key cards that now I can access all the level 3 doors.
Is there a lot of 3D Metroidvanias?
It depends on how you classify the genre.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people will disagree with me, but I think you could classify Zelda as a Metroidvania.
Yeah, well, some people want to classify Zelda as an RPG as well. So, it just depends on where you want to put it.
I classified as a Zelda-like.
Yeah. How much have you played of the Modern Warfare 2 remaster, Randy?
I'm 4 or 5 missions in. It's what you would expect. It's not like the Resident Evil remakes and stuff. It's just up-res graphics and
it's just like a new coat of paint essentially.
Yeah, and which is fine with me. I'm not a huge Call of Duty person, but Modern Warfare was the series I got into. I played all 3 when they came out. So, and Modern Warfare 2 is probably my favorite. That No Russian mission still hits hard. It's so brutal to go through, and it makes you just feel awkward still, even all these years later. But yeah, the combat's still good. The story's fine. It's what you expect. I like that as well as only $20. I think $20 is the right price for that kind of a thing.
Cool. What if you could pay $40 more for the multiplayer?
people would do it. I didn't play Call. I think that's why I got out of the series so much. Is I don't play Call of Duty for the multiplayer. I'm not that good.
That's why I didn't like Black Ops 3, or I didn't want to review it. So
right, so they're just selling the single player campaign, right?
Yeah, it's just single player.
That's cool. I wish they'd done that all along.
They have special Modern Warfare 2 maps in Modern Warfare, the game that came out last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even made by the same people. It's a side
Infinity Ward is involved, but like it's Raven. No, that's Warzone. I'm thinking of Warzone. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can't think of the
I think it's
company.
Phoenix or
yeah, you might be right. But so it's a different team that's working on it. But yeah, I mean it's very faithful. Obviously, it's just everything's up res. It looks nice for the PS4. So I mean I know the review scores aren't fantastic, but I don't think they were going for that. It's just an easy $20 from a lot of people. A lot of people are going to buy this thing.
Well, it's nice for right now when you're trying to find things to play,
and stuff like that. I mean, I get it. I'm cool with it.
Speaking of a fresh coat of paint, Mark, are you excited to play Saints Row 3 with me, remastered for the PS4?
No.
Oh,
maybe.
I thought you liked that game. What the?
That's like the best Saints Row. One of the best games ever. Come on.
We'll see. Depends how much it is.
How was that Animal Crossing treating you guys?
Yeah,
I don't
Mark,
like it.
So you'll have to tell me more. Last podcast, you talked about how you were kind of souring on it, but then you just talked about how you don't like fishing. So you're going to have to get into a little bit. I've got my reasons for why I'm souring on it slowly, but I'd like to hear more from you first.
Yeah, it's just the activities aren't that much fun. There's a ton of items in the game, but they don't do anything. It's like, oh, cool! I bought a vending machine for my house. It's like, okay,
to decorate your house.
Does it do anything?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
I mean, I also find the layout systems to be really terrible. like as far as placing items, I find the controls just really just bad in general. Actually, I don't want to visit. I don't want to visit Mystery Island because I always get the same two that have nothing I care about. Well, whenever I go to an island, I just feel like strip mining like a Captain Planet villain. And yeah, it's just a lot of stuff that I mean, I can see why I see a lot of women getting into this game a lot more than guys. So
yeah, it is much more of the female game.
I mean, yeah, it's just a ton of stuff.
It's also a very kid-friendly game.
I actually would not agree with that at all. Because of how imprecise the controls are. Like, trying to knock down a balloon in the sky with your slingshot is an exercise in frustration. Because you don't have an aiming reticle. It's just you have to be at the right distance and keep shooting this fucking thing and hoping.
Mark, it's because you're getting too old and your hand-eye coordination's not as good as it used to be.
You got to shoot what the balloon is going to be.
What else? Yeah, I mean, Jens he doesn't like the repetitious fact, or having to keep checking up on the island every day. I mean, I don't mind that, but I just find there's nothing to do, or it's just I don't really care about getting KK Slider to my island because I don't know who that character is.
Yeah, but he does a sweet concert.
Is it an Animalese, whatever the fuck it's called? I mean, it's not he's not going to sound like B.B. King or anything, is he?
I've got totally different complaints than you do. Sure, the controls are sometimes a little bit awkward and imprecise. I agree with that. That's not really the issue. And I still got enough stuff to do. I've got progression ahead of me where it's not like I don't have things to work towards. But for me, a big part of it is just I've never liked appointment television, and I don't like appointment gaming. I really hate this thing of it's on a timer. And when it's nighttime in my real life, it's nighttime in Animal Crossing, which basically means that it's always nighttime when I play because I've got a freaking job and I can't log on to Animal Crossing at noon when the turnip prices are good.
Well, couldn't you time
travel? I have yet to actually see that turnip bitch because I never get up before Sunday at noon.
Well, time travel will actually ruin. That's another thing. I ruined $1 million worth of turnips via time travel because I didn't realize that if you time travel while you've got turnips, those turnips are going to rot. So I wasted a bunch of my money. But that's a different. You know what? I would have actually ruined those turnips anyway because I didn't log on for a few days, and it's Sunday now, so they'd be rotten now anyway. But it's this thing of okay, I spent a lot of time trying to get into people's islands to try and find good turnip prices. Like I went into this website where people were like posting like turnip prices on my island, 400 bells for a turnip or whatever. And it's like, that's amazing. But because those turnip prices were so good, those islands were super busy and you could keep trying. You just kind of keep trying to connect and not get in. The island would either be full or you'd time out.
Yeah, the whole like online system is frankly like insane.
Well, what I hate is that every time you time out, like every time you need to retry, you have to go through all the menu, all the conversation over again. Like if you can't get into one of these turnip islands, then you're at like the beginning of the conversation to say like, okay, I want to fly, I want online, okay, I want to search by a code, I'm going to enter the code each time. Then it's like, and then, no, sorry, there's slots are full, or the island's closed now, or you timed out, and then you get to do it again. I want to fly, okay, I want online, not local, I want to do it by code. So, I did that for a long time, and then I was just like, okay, fuck this, I'm not gonna sell my turnips right now, I've got a life to lead, and again, then of course, eventually, I ruined those turnips. But, so you've got like stuff like that, then also things like, well, today is the last day when you can catch a stringfish.
Yeah, the game doesn't tell you that at all. Like if the game
doesn't tell you anything. That's like the whole, there's like a huge FOMO like factor with this and envy factor where, you look at other people's islands and you're like, how did you get this cool thing? I want that cool thing. Oh, that cool thing appears between this hour and this hour on this day and you missed it. So you're screwed, or
you just have to be more dedicated to your Animal Crossing life.
So but basically, you have to live on Reddit, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, you have to like live on Reddit, keep track of the stuff, or look at the guides and like figure out like, okay, I've got to log in, before noon, during springtime to do this or whatever. And I don't play games that way. So I haven't completely stopped playing it. I'm actually enjoying it a lot more now that I've just kind of have it be a thing that I log into very casually, spend like a half an hour doing one thing and then log back out, and not even do it daily. But
it is the miles.
I'm missing some of the miles, but whatever.
Yeah,
it's fine. So that's just the thing that's the thing that turned me off of previous Animal Crossing games. I will say this is probably the furthest that I've come in an Animal Crossing, but the fact that they've gamified so much of it, I know you like the miles, Mark, but like the fact that they've got all these like goals to string you along all the time, to me actually makes the timed aspect of it worse. Because again, it's like it's now creating this like imbalance where on the one hand, it's pushing you to do more. On the other hand, there's things which are severely time limited or which you can only do at certain times.
Yeah.
So I feel like those two things are in conflict with each other, and it's very frustrating.
I think this game was helped and hurt by the fact of what we're going on right now with you have so many people that are at home and not working, and so they have more time to play Animal Crossing and get all these things that you don't get to have, right, because you're still working. Yeah. Had this come out when this not happening, I wonder how much more you would have people experiencing this kind of thing where, God, I'm never going to have my own look at that, it's interesting.
I know. As I said, I like 9 to 5, I can't play Animal Crossing. it's not possible. Right. So
you have a lunch break, man. Come on.
I need my lunch break to eat lunch.
Right.
Yeah, you're not
those 30 minutes, man, they don't last very long.
Just pop a can of ravioli out and then eat that. And then
Sure. So I spent 10 minutes eating a frozen dinner and 20 minutes playing Animal Crossing. Great stuff.
Also, I got a recipe for this big fucking Gundam robot on the island.
Ooh.
And it has ingredients I didn't even know existed, like, in the game, or I've never even seen before.
There's so much stuff like that, man.
And it's like, okay, I had to look up a guide, and it's like, one of the parts is like you need 30 recycled chips, or like 30 like damaged like chips, and I was like, wait, there are computers on this island? Like, I mean, and it's like you only get like one a week, if that. So it's like, okay, I guess I have to spend the next 30 weeks clicking this one chip over, and hope it comes.
I agree with Sean that I think the success of this thing on social media has kind of hurt the game for some people, because all of these things are meant to be like naturally discovered. Like they're meant to be like neat things that are deliberately obtuse because you're just going to come across them one day and you're going to be like, oh, wow, I had no idea this was in here. But the actual experience now is just you see somebody post a clip on Twitter about how they have this cool thing and you're like, fuck, why don't I have that cool thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just,
I mean, I have a friend who's spent 100 hours in that game so far already.
Yeah. No,
And
yeah.
I can't fathom that.
Yeah,
Well,
there are
it's
so
not-
many people, I think, when Nintendo posts the whole, oh, it's this day, how many hours, and there's some people putting in, oh, I put 120 hours, I put 200, I'm like, holy crap, well, okay. You know?
there's not enough going on in that game to hold my attention that much.
I mean,
There's people
that's
that,
my point. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's like, I guess it's the same people who spend like 100 hours playing The Sims, but it's like,
probably, yeah.
that game has a little more for like things going for it. Like shit, at least work, interacts within that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, I'm still playing it every now and then. I mean, I haven't put it completely down. I don't hate it, but it certainly, I just feel like there's nothing wrong with Animal Crossing necessarily. I understand there's an audience for it. I understand why people like it. There's a lot of cute stuff that I see people making. There's a lot of like people sharing videos of their village where I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Like, I'm kind of jealous of that. But I just think it may not be for me. And I had this suspicion before I bought it. We talked about it.
Yeah.
I was like, is this going to be the same thing that has happened with every Animal Crossing for me, where I played for a little bit and then just fall off it? And that's kind of the direction I think I'm going.
Well, and it also helps. This game is like you just said, Jens, like the perfect encapsulation of this fits in so well with the influencer culture and the Instagram culture of, hey, I did this, look at it. Oh, now you be jealous that I have it, you don't. It's like, so it's such a popular game for so many different reasons. And, if things keep going where that becomes, I mean, it's still the thing that I see the most on my Twitter feed of all these gaming people playing that game. So, we'll be interested to see once we get to next week if Final Fantasy VII eclipses it or it's still Animal Crossing taking the cake. I think Randy, are you going to have any inkling to play Animal Crossing at all? Or?
No, absolutely not. The things that they're complaining about are the things that I know I would hate. So
Yeah.
That's just not my kind of game. I know the people that play it absolutely love it. I'm not saying it's a bad game. It's my mind-numbing game is Minecraft. I can lose hours into that, so I don't need another one.
So Sean, it's just you left with a bunch of stuff.
I played more Panzer Dragoon Remake while I'm waiting for calls to come in, and it's now that I've gotten better at the game, and you realize, I think, that if you kill a lot of the things in a level, you get way more continues. So it helped me be able to get further than I had at first. It's good. It's just, it's
how much?
Okay. Huh?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But I was curious, how much is it like the Xbox? Like I played, I think it was 3, was an Xbox
Panzer
Connect game?
Orta.
Orto, yeah.
Orta,
So,
yeah. That was an original Xbox game.
Yeah. I played, no, I'm talking about the Xbox One. There was an Xbox One exclusive Panzer Dragoon that had Connect.
It just came out. It's I forgot what it's called. It's Panzer Dragoon something else.
I'm just curious, if I liked that, which I did, how much is this like it?
I mean, it's Panzer Dragoon. I mean, you fly on your dragon and you shoot stuff. I mean, it's a bullet hell game, but you're riding a dragon instead. I mean,
how on rails is it? Or how much does it give you, like branching paths and stuff? And
No. This one is very on rails. The one thing you get to do is switch perspectives because the enemies come from any direction. So you will have, it doesn't do it by itself. You have to actually manually switch directions. You have a radar on the right side of the screen that shows where the enemies are coming, but if you do not switch directions in the right time, you're all of a sudden going to get whacked by enemies, and you have one bar that goes to, and this is why it's important, because it's almost like a score game as well. Like, you have to kill enough things, because if you don't, you don't get continues for that level when you complete it. And if you're like barely making it through and you got to go to the whole next level and you have no continues, you die. You have to repeat the entire game again.
Oh no!
So
they didn't ease up on that stuff with
there's an easy mode, so you could play it on easy if you want to. But if you play on normal or hard, like I made it to level, I think there's 6 levels or episodes. Sorry, I will say like the cutscenes and the story stuff is kind of cool actually. They redid that much better. It feels very cinematic, at least the first part does. But yeah, no, it can be very punishing if you don't figure out how to anticipate and take the things out. It's one of those things like once you play through a level once or twice or whatever, you figure out where they're going to come from, and then it's just making sure you take them out. It just doesn't look great on the Switch, and that's my thing, is it still very much feels like it looks better, right? But it still feels like it could have still been on the Saturn, I guess. It'll be interesting what it looks like when it comes to the other systems, if it looks much better than...
Oh, has it been announced for those?
Yeah, it's got like an exclusive window for the Switch, but I think it comes to the other systems eventually.
Cool.
And then Power Wars 4 it's Power Wars 4. I got through all of Alabasta this morning, and then I'm just starting Annie's Lobby. I mean, really, there's not a reason to not have it if you love One Piece. And that's pretty much, I mean, and it's still like, I honestly think out of all the Musu games that are out there, even if you don't like One Piece, it's still one of the best versions. It'll be interesting to see, how much better Persona does it, but it's still probably one of the best versions of a Musu game that exists, just because all those characters are perfect for,
They're perfectly suited. Do they largely have the same movesets that we're familiar with from the previous Pirate Warriors Musus?
Yeah, I didn't play a lot of 3. I've played some, so I don't know how much of this is in there, but they have like a growth map for the entire team, and you get to unlock like 40 different characters, so there's that, but like there's also a growth map for each character as well, so you get to level up each character individually if you use them in levels, and obviously there's certain levels that you can only use one character, and then you have your overall team map as well, and there's levels to that team map too. Eventually, if you get to unlock everything in one, you go to the next one. So I think that's very well done. Like there's a lot. It challenges you to like actually want to go and do the little submissions that are in each level, and like take out a lot of the like control the board, I guess, the strategy part of the Musus that I think a lot of people kind of forget about, this has
that aspect to it. This has like the map.
Yes, it has the map where you try to control most of the board and whatever, while you're also doing the main mission, and also has like submissions with like extra characters will come in, extra bad characters, and you get rewarded for killing them, and it depends on how you kill them, right? If you kill them with a special move or whatever, you get more points and more things than if you do it just with a regular move too, so yeah, there's a lot, and then the game looks really good, and just I really enjoy. I mean, there's a lot that they skip over, right? So this is not this isn't like Kakarot. If you had never watched DBZ, I think you could almost play Kakarot and like experience most of the story.
Yeah, it accounts for like the big story beats. Let's say that, and it
like
goes through
this,
arc of
this game skips over a lot.
I mean, One Piece is not that One Piece is significantly huger than the Dragon Ball, but I could see how you would want to, right? Like,
well,
they can't possibly.
There's parts of it that's not going to fit well with a Musu game, right? Like, so, like all the beginning stuff where you don't have all the characters, even though you don't get to control them all, wouldn't be fun for somebody to experience, I think, in a game like this. And then also there's parts of it, like, I would like to have seen this, like, Skypiea part that it skips over to go straight to Annie's Lobby from Alabasta, but I get that they also didn't want to make this game, like, 80 hours long. So, there's that too. And there might also be, I don't know if they want to make DLC eventually for the game, which they could also do as well. So, but yeah, I think we've talked about everything. So let's see how long this is going to take. So with Final Fantasy VII Remake coming pretty soon, and Randy and I kind of already did this a little bit with the Gamers Dozen that we had for a little bit. But what are your? You don't necessarily have to rank them as the best, I guess, overall if you don't want to. But what are your favorite? I guess your top 5 favorite Final Fantasy games.
All right, who wants to go first on this one?
I can, because I'll be right.
Oh God, here we go.
All right, 6.
No, I haven't played 6.
What?
That's Final Fantasy 3, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
no, it's
he's a
3 in
young
America.
kid.
Yeah. I mean, I have it. I haven't played it yet.
Oh my God, it's the best one.
I would say Final Fantasy 15, 12, Beyond Crisis Core. I think Type 0 is interesting. I don't think it's the greatest game, but I think it's good. I mean, it's conceptually good. That's about it.
Wow.
Wait,
Your
what?
list is completely different
What?
than mine.
Wait,
It's
what?
completely different.
I
than what
mean,
would've-
7 is fine. I think it's overhyped, but it's okay. And
Wow.
I like 10's battle system, but the story is abhorrent.
10
So
is
it's
one I
fun.
didn't play.
As far as main number of Final Fantasy games, I think 12 and 15 are the only worthwhile ones.
Good
Wait,
Lord.
what?
All right,
Wait,
Mark.
whoa.
All right, I need to give a correct list now because this is ridiculous. All right, my list I've got from counting upwards from number 5. Number 5 I've put Final Fantasy 13 because I think it's really underrated. It's a personal favorite of mine. I know that a lot of people hate it, but screw those people. All right, number 4 I'm going to put Final Fantasy 7. Really great, classic, obviously, love it. Number 3 Final Fantasy 9. I also think super underrated. Maybe my favorite of the PlayStation era ones. Actually, definitely my favorite of the PlayStation era ones. I like that it goes back to more of a medieval period. I really like the job system and the battle system, and just generally the characters, the art style, everything about 9 is really up my alley. Then the obvious top 2 is Final Fantasy 4 at number 2, known as Final Fantasy 2, of course, on initial release, and then Final Fantasy 6, the best one. So that's my list.
Oh, much more traditional,
Yeah, sorry,
yeah,
much more basic list, but 15?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, the story is also kind of trash because I didn't finish it. Or, the Luna Frey is such a nothing character.
See, 6 has the best story and the best set pieces. Who doesn't love the opera? I mean, the opera scene is one of the most famous things in gaming, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I mean, it helped that they had all the little branching ports with the characters and everything, so you kind of got a feel for every character. By the time you get to the end of the game, you care about each one of those characters, and that's very hard to do with the big cast.
All those strands come together in a really brilliant way.
But, I mean, I like 15's gameplay quite a bit.
Yeah, the gameplay's good.
I mean, I would say it's the best.
The gameplay is never the problem with that game. It's the other stuff.
I think the pacing and the story
gameplay,
and the gameplay is fine. I just couldn't put myself through the story.
I think the story, the whole romance, and I think the bad guy, he has an interesting kind of arc or kind of motivation, but they don't really explain it that well. But I really like the end of that game when Noctis is locked away for 10 years and he comes back and the whole world is fucked up. I'm like, this is some good shit.
Oh yeah, that was cool. That was.
If only they made that longer or made that really playable. But yeah, I think 15's really good.
Randy,
I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just saying.
And you get to drive around a dumb car.
The fly. Eventually, you can get it to fly and everything.
I got the flying one. Yeah. I mean, I think I platinumed that game, or at least I got damn close to it.
Mm-hmm. Sean, Randy,
I don't know. Sean, go ahead. I'm still debating between 8 of them.
Yeah, there's so many. I have a few favorites that, similar to Jens. And then, I think, for me, number 5 is, 10. It was my first Final Fantasy. I always have a kind of a soft spot for it. The battle system is very good. And then also the spear grid is something that a lot of games have taken and iterated on. And then, of course, Final Fantasy itself has taken and iterated on it, for other games, 12, 15.
13 also.
13 also. So, you got to give it credit. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like the love story, and then they make it preposterous by the time you get to 10-2, but I do like many of those characters. I think Auron is pretty cool, and I always had Waka was like a character that he had his cool accent, and I enjoyed it.
Only he was a beer drinking robot instead.
And Blitzball is
terrible.
Is not easy, but it's fun. I like it. Of course, I like soccer, so that helps too. And number 4. So I know what my top 3 are. It's just number 4 is always like one of those that like I flip flop depending on.
It's the City of 2.
What day? But I think I'm gonna go with Tactics. If we don't include, if we have to include like non-spin-off, which Tactics to me is still the best of the spin-offs. I'll go with 13 as well. I like 13 a lot. If you get past the having to read part, but I love the battle system in 13. It's very fast. I love the shifting stuff around, and there's all the combinations you can do with that game. Lightning is also my favorite of the Final Fantasy characters.
Yes,
she's just a badass. I love her. You flesh her out as time goes on, and actually like 13-2. I know you don't really care for it that much, Jens, but I like that game as well, and I learned to care more about Terra than I thought I would. Plus Zaz is cool. I like Zaz. He has a chocobo on his head. I mean, what's wrong with that? So, 3 for me is Final Fantasy 7. There's a reason it's getting remade. The characters are all beloved for the most part. I mean, it's the one that made JRPGs become something that I think people took notice of. It saved the PlayStation. There's a lot of things you can give Final Fantasy VII. It made the JRPGs modern because everything was either top down or it was either looked like Chrono Trigger or it looked like the computer, the Diablo type. And then Final Fantasy VII came out and showed you could do something else.
It looked chibi.
Yeah. And then 6 has a fantastic, everything Jens said. It's still one of the best soundtracks in all of gaming. That's the thing with Final Fantasy games. One of the reasons why I love them most is because, each of the soundtracks is pretty awesome. Something you can listen to by themselves, and they all stand out on their own. And 9 is the best. I really enjoyed those characters. Perhaps this also has a soft spot for me because it's the first Final Fantasy that I actually went all the way through and beat.
Mm-hmm.
But 9 is, I love those characters. Sedaine has a really neat story as you go through with him. Steiner is the way he redeems himself by the end as well. Just all those characters feel like there's something to them, and it was like the return of Final Fantasy after 7 and 8 kind of went way off.
Yeah, and 8 especially went off the rails with its weird sci-fi stuff. I love the return to traditional fantasy setting. Exactly.
So, I hate I'm not a big fan of it's kind of slow. The battles are a bit slow. And the trance thing is not, I wish you had an opportunity to control it like you do with the other ones. But aside from that, just, I really, really enjoyed 9.
Sean, if you like the Final Fantasy soundtracks, let me introduce you to a little game called Theater Rhythm.
Hey,
I have Theater Rhythm.
I have Theater Rhythm soundtrack.
Yeah. I play the crap out of Theater Rhythm. I still play Theater Rhythm today, actually.
I think Theater Rhythm made our top 12, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Where did Erguy sit?
Oh, that's that fighting it. It's terrible. Yeah. No.
Oh, that's fighting it. It's good. The city is the one that's terrible.
Yeah. It's amazing to me they're still making characters for that game. I thought they would have stopped supporting it after a while.
City, they did stop pretty recently though.
Oh, okay.
I'm just glad that you remember the characters' names for 9, Sean, because I can never. This is my weakness with these conversations. I can never remember anybody.
The cat boy and the black maid guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vivi. Well, Vivi is because Kingdom Hearts. He's in that game. So, but yeah, I mean, Vivi is he has one of the most. If you think about it, like his story is absolutely shocking when you go through. Like they told a lot of different. There's a lot of different themes in 9 that I also appreciate. You know, they went a lot of different ways with that game. You know, so yeah, it's funny because like there's a lot of you could probably talk shit about almost any Final Fantasy that's there, and you can also love it. So that's what's cool about that series. You know, Randy, did you pick yet?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna go 1 through 5 that way because the 5th one I can't figure out. So I'll figure it out as I go. My number 1 is Final Fantasy 7. It's this the first one I played. It's the one that got me into the series, so it holds a big piece of my RPG heart. I know it has a lot of flaws, and people like to say it's overrated and stuff, and that's fine. But I absolutely loved it.
I have a buddy who thinks it's like a perfect game.
No,
and I'm
no.
like, no.
There's no such thing.
Yeah,
as a
I'm
perfect
like,
game.
first of all, there's no perfect game. And even if you like, I mean, I think Final Fantasy VII's good, but I mean, it certainly has flaws, and it's like
but,
he doesn't even recognize that. I'm like,
I know Sean and I talked about it when we did that series. That the first one you play is always going to hold an extra piece. I mean, that's why he likes 10 more. And I admit that I do think Final Fantasy VI is probably the more overall well put together game, and that's why it's my second one. But I played that way later in his life cycle. I probably played that after I played 10 and stuff. That's when I started going back and playing some of the older ones. So it didn't click as much, I think, as some of the other people. But it's still second for me. I love Final Fantasy VIII more than most people, so it's third for me. I know the story goes way off the rails and stuff, but when they brought out the remaster here not too long ago, I platinumed it. I played it really quick, and I will say if you didn't really like Final Fantasy VIII and the grinding of the magic and stuff, play the remaster because putting things on 3 times speed makes the game so much better.
Oh yeah,
just sat there and would just draw materia or magic out for 20 minutes and be full and be ready to go and not have to waste an hour. It was really nice, and it made me appreciate that game even more. I'm with Mark. I like Final Fantasy 12. I like the.
No, I said I like that. That was one of mine.
I know. That's why I'm with.
Okay, yeah.
No, I 12 is like a runner-up for me. It almost made the top 5.
Mark, I know it's not often we agree, but I'm saying.
Well, I didn't play original 12, so I can't make a judgment on that. But that 12 remake or remaster is really good, I thought.
Yeah, I want to play the remaster, but I like the older feel to it. I know it was part of the whole tactics and Vagrant Story stuff, and I just like the feel of that game. And what was it? I wanted a Gambit system. What was it?
Yeah, Gambit.
It was a really cool innovation. It wasn't perfect, but for its time, I think they did a lot with it. Yeah. So that's number 4, and then number 5, I still can't decide. So 4, 5, 9, and 10 are tied for 5th because I can't pick one. Mostly because if you ask me what happens in 4 and what happens in 5, I can't tell you because those 2 games have meshed together in my brain.
I don't remember anything about 5.
What about
one has
which one is
one has X-Death, one has
5
Kanan.
was the first one to have the job system that we kind of appreciate now. So
it was a mix in there. Tactics is okay too. There's too many.
5 is his name like Bart's? That's right, Bart.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I know he comes in with like a chocobo really quickly. He goes around and
that's the one with X-Death.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I always think X-Death is the same one with the Kane character, but Kane is in 4 and X-Death is in 5, and I mix those 2 games up all the time.
Right.
5 has a weird ass fucking story. It's like it goes way too many places. But yeah, it's can't wait for 7. It's trying to get till Friday is gonna feel like forever.
I think we all forgot about Chocobo Racing for the PS1.
Hey, you could do that, and I liked was it World of Final Fantasy?
Yeah, that's a good.
That game's
one.
good too.
Yeah.
So I mean that's what I would say too. They're pretty good about their spin-offs.
Dirge Service.
Tactics, of course. Yeah, then Dirge Service. We can just forget that one existed and move on with our lives.
We should have made a game based on that horrible movie in 2000.
It's a good movie.
Spirits Within?
Yeah.
If you take Final Fantasy off of it, it's an okay animated movie.
Yeah,
I remember there just
exactly.
being a lot of exposition and a lot of just people using weird, just going on and on about Gaia and
the spirit of the earth crap.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. I mean, I know those are Final Fantasy mainstay things, but I just don't think they work in a movie context.
They don't work in a movie that's like, oh, Manhattan is the last city on Earth. It's like, what?
The one cool thing I really like in that movie is that the device that they use to record their dreams, so they can actually play them back like they're a movie. I wish I had that. Of course, I wouldn't get any Netflix watching done because I would just be watching my dreams in the evenings.
How would you hate Carol Baskins then?
That's true. Hey, here's the thing. Carol Baskins is not. I know everybody's hating on her for being the biggest hypocrite on that show. She's not the worst person. I think Doc is the worst. Honestly,
Doc is 100% the worst. He's creepy as all hell.
His grooming sex cult shit. I felt really bad for that one lady who made it. I mean, she didn't. I mean, I know she said that she never made it with Doc, but like she made it with Doc. She can't talk about it. She's too traumatized. I'm 100% sure. I feel bad for all those women. And then like that other guy who's like, I like how he's got his women trained. It's like, what?
What? Really? Okay.
That show is. Have you not seen the show, Sean?
No, I have watched that show. It's crazy. Like,
the guy in Ohio.
Nuts and
the guy in Ohio is the one that said that he was happy with the way.
He's just one of the traders who raises cubs and sells them.
Yeah, isn't he the one that gets his place raided at the end or whatever? Or is that somebody else?
No.
He didn't get raided, but he's going through a lot of legal stuff. He was the one that was going to make the new park with Jeff and then backed out.
Right.
The one with the wears the hat?
No, the hat guy is the documentarian, isn't he? He's like one of the few. The only likable people to me are the documentarian, the campaign manager, and the hot prosecutor. Those are kind of the only decent people. And the lady who escaped the sex cult. Yeah. Those are like the only likable.
I felt sympathy for the two husbands.
Yeah,
I thought they were nice enough guys that just got lost.
They seem nice enough. I cannot wrap my head around it. I don't care how much weed you give me. Like, I could not deal with that relationship.
That whole show.
Yeah, that show is just something else. I watched this. I was like, "What? Why did I just spend time watching this?"
Well, my initial reaction. Well, it's like I knew Joe Exotic from when he ran for president. Like that's how I knew him. I knew his campaign ads. And I knew some of his music videos. So that was my only exposure to him. So I was like, okay, this seems cool. A documentary series about this guy. But how is this ever, 7 episodes? How on earth is this going to sustain 7 episodes? This should just be a movie or something. And I'm like, no, this is just every episode escalates the madness. And you cannot.
Because of the coronavirus, I watched all 7 episodes in one day.
I think I would have done that. I would have done that even if it hadn't been.
Right.
Like you start and you're like, let's just check this out. And then you cannot stop because every episode ends with some big cliffhanger where it's like, what the fuck? And then the next episode tells you all about that. So it hooks you. You can't stop.
I can't wait for the video game.
So did you?
We're on a video game podcast. I was trying to.
Well, they're gonna make a movie of him, right? Or
they're making like a series. I know that. What's her name? The chick from SNL and Ghostbusters.
Kristen Wiig.
Not Kristen Wiig. The other one. She's on current SNL.
The blonde chick. Yeah.
Yeah. She's supposed to play Carol Baskin.
Kate McKinnon.
Kate McKinnon. Yeah. She's also supposed to play Elizabeth Holmes in an adaptation of the whole Theranos.
Yeah. Wasn't Margot Robbie supposed to do that also? Or
I don't. I've always heard McKinnon. So she seems like she's going to have a monopoly on playing these women from crazy documentaries. I don't know.
I was thinking of Jennifer Lawrence. Sorry.
Oh yeah, Jennifer Lawrence would be good as Elizabeth Holmes. That'd be good casting. But yeah, man, I just don't think you can do. If this were a fictional show, you would not accept it. And these people are such distinctive characters that it'd be very, very hard to match. It's kind of like great. Did you guys ever watch the movie that they made of Grey Gardens with Drew Barrymore and whoever, I forget who the other lady was. But it was basically just they recreated the documentary in a fictionalized version. And it was a good movie, but it was completely pointless because the documentary exists. And why would you not watch the real thing?
Yeah.
So I just don't see how it can compare.
Oh, we'll see, I guess.
To answer Randy's complaint, this show used to have a let's talk about, media TV and
no, because I took it out because it takes way too long. Like, I don't think that 3-hour shows work for people wanting to listen. So
it is a little intimidating. I'd be happy to. I just finished Interspecies Reviewers. I'd be happy to talk about Interspecies Reviewers.
Oh, God. I watched like the first couple of episodes of that, and I forgot to keep watching. Oh my God.
You got to get to episode 7. Episode 7 is amazing. It's one of the most insane things I've ever seen.
Oh, I was like, well, I could definitely see why this got banned from Funimation and other places.
That's
like, wow.
Like by the time that they get to episode 7 and it's the egg laying fetish one, I was like, are they just gonna have they run out of regular bordellos and it's just gonna be insane fetishes from now on? But then that doesn't happen. But yeah, that one, holy shit.
Have they actually got to the end now? Like 13 episodes?
12. Yeah, it's done. I know. I hope a second season happens. It's a weird conundrum because it's like, on the one hand, they got taken off all the streaming services. Even in Japan, they got kicked off a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And people won't carry them. But on the other hand, it's like the most popular and beloved anime of the season.
Yeah, because, people with their, you censor something I like, it's definitely going to be number 1 now. It's like...
Yeah. Well, it is really great.
Well, so basically, it is Final Fantasy week as Final Fantasy VII comes out for everybody except Europe and Australia, where it's already out physically. On Friday, all of us will be getting it. So I don't know, maybe we can do like a spoiler cast or something once we all finish it or something. And there's also a few other things. Someday You'll Return was an adventure game, and Hellpoint, which doesn't look great, and Billion Road, which is almost looks like a Japanese board game thing that has different mini games in it. Looks kind of weird. It's one of those Bandai Namco joints that you're like, you never thought it would come out, but it's out here. So yeah. Now I gotta hope that we make it another week. We'll be back on Wednesday to talk about, because this actually by the time everybody wakes up in the morning, the embargo will have lifted for the reviews for Final Fantasy VII.
I'm expecting 4 out of 10s across the board.
No, I expect great things.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if people try to find reasons to dislike it, or if there's legitimate ones. But yeah, just beware of spoilers, people, because definitely you'll be getting, if you didn't already run into some with Square Enix doing the best they could to squash them, you'll definitely be able to find some now this week because the embargo goes up today. So, alright, well, if you like what you heard, everybody, you can hit subscribe and get us for at least while we're all staying at home 2 times a week. And, you can go review us on Podchaser or whatever other service you use to listen to us on. And, yeah, let us know what you think there. And if there's anything you'd like to see us cover, or just a segment that you think we could do on the show to kind of make the 2 shows different, let me know at w2network@gmail.com, or all of us have Twitters, at Aperture Silence for Jens, at W2Sean for me, at Randy Isbelle for Randy, and at Humanity Play for Mark. And yeah, go visit at w2net.com. There'll be at least a Resident Evil 3 review, and if I might review the Panzer Dragoon remake as well by the time sometime this week. And yeah, we'll see you later, everybody.
Later.